special.
Yeah, no, we want plenty, as much light.
Look at you.
The light is good. Sixth, we're at the home of Chaya Ruchel Andres. And we're here today to discuss the beginnings of Jewish Day School in Dallas, Texas. Thank you for letting us come, Ruchel. May I call you
don't
Ruchel?
even speak Yiddish.
No, I'm afraid I don't. I can read a little bit.
You can do what?
I can read a little bit.
You do?
Yes.
Fine.
Miriam Creamer taught me.
This is my third book.
The years have sped by. So you're also
That's my fourth book.
you're a poet in Yiddish,
Yiddish.
and now you've written a memoir. And this is your life story.
Oh, for you? I'll be glad to. I'll give you more than one. I'll give you one. Here is that little girl who came from Suwałki, Poland.
And that is you.
That's me. I was 19 when I came to Dallas.
And what year was that?
Hmm?
And what year did you come to Dallas?
1921.
Now, we have arrayed in front of you a group of pictures, and all of these pictures help tell the story of the founding of the first Jewish Day School in Dallas. Is that right?
Of the first what?
Jewish Day School.
Jewish?
Day School. Tagshul.
School.
What kind of shul is that?
Just a school.
School. This is the Jewish school in Dallas.
This is the very first Yiddish Kinderschule. Well, all those are arbitering members.
All of those, and
All those people that you see here, or of course this is the children of the school, the first arbitering Kinderschule. And you could see this, you saw it.
okay, and that spells out in Yiddish, Arbeitering
Yeah.
Schul, and then below it it says, I can't read it from here, but it says, Fert.
On this one, you're looking at this one.
Yes.
This is our pride and joy. Our first 43 pupils that we gathered in Dallas. Their parents were the arbitering members. All those are the fathers of these children and mother. Yeah, they're just the fathers. And these. Oh,
Can you
want to keep it?
tell me the year that picture was taken?
Yes, I could, I'm sure. It's probably the 25th or 26th, or 24th maybe.
1924, 1925, or 1926?
Yeah. We had the Kinderschule open, how many years? 14? Something like that.
And when did it close?
What is it called?
No, when did it close?
When did it close? It closed in the big crisis in 1934.
During the Depression.
Yeah,
And things were very bad?
very bad. In 1934, that was still the First World War. I was there, not in the war, but almost in the war. I had to hide in a cellar or in a Eberstibel on top somewhere, so the Germans wouldn't find those.
This was in Poland. Long before.
Poland, Suwałki, Poland.
But that was long before you came to death. Before you founded the school.
Huh?
This was before you founded the school.
This is before, yeah. This is before. This is already after.
Now, before we go into the story of how you founded the Arbeiterring Schule, could you tell me what kind of Jewish education you had?
Yes, Jewish education, and the children went all day in the school, in the English school.
Did you go to an English school?
Huh?
Did you go to an English school?
No.
In Poland, what kind of school?
Poland, yes, I was very lucky girl. I went to a very good school where two women of the intelligentsia opened a school. Not in Yiddish and not in any other language, but at the beginning it was really, I think they started it not exactly knowing what they started, but it was Hebrew. They started like what Davily. When the school started, we already had a Hebrew school, and what's his name? Was it Levin, the Hebrew teacher.
Here in Dallas?
Yes, that was before the Arbeiterring opened. The Arbeiterring opened maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years later here in Dallas.
Okay, but I want to talk about when you were in Poland.
When I was in Poland, oh yes,
your
I
education
forgot.
there.
We went back. Well, in Poland, I had a good education. My father is a very, very learned man, an old man. He was always an old man when I was a little girl, because he married late. This my father and mother. Did you see the picture?
Yeah.
Right here.
And what were their names?
Their names, my father is Mordechai Meir Kleiman. My mother, Hannah Kleiman Walnianski. She was a young girl when...
Father's name again? Now, what is your father's name?
Mordechai Meir Kleiman from Suwalki Schulgas number 34. There you have it.
And your mother?
My mother was raised in a small little country. The Gentile people lived there mostly. A few Jews also were there. Well, my father was a very great man in every way.
Was he a maskil?
By what?
Was he a maskil? Was he a modern?
He was a
Or
what?
Was he a modern intellectual?
Yeah, it was an intellectual. He was a volunteer. He had a million people, 2 million people in his clothes, in our clothes. We lived right next door to a small clothes. You know what a clothes is? A small. What would you call a clothes?
Rectory.
A small.
It was near the show.
It's what maybe where people that visit sleep and.
Oh, a lot of people visited my father. Yes.
And what was your father a traditional Jew? Was he traditional? From?
Traditional.
From.
Huh?
From.
From, very from. He was very from. He was from. you could tell that by looking at him what he is. He was teaching with old people, volunteering in the middle of the day between Mincha and Ma'ariv with minyanim people in that school, in that shul.
Was he a rabbi?
He was not a rabbi. He didn't want to be a rabbi. He was just a great man.
A melamed?
No, he was not a melamed. He was what he was teaching was just volunteering. You know, Jewish people, how they in the old country, if anybody knew a little Torah, and he is a noted person in town, notable. I don't know.
He was well known. He was famous.
My English is not good.
It's fine. It's
My
fine.
Yiddish is the one. Yeah.
Now, when
The one. But my father and mother lived a long life. My father lived 98 years. And my mother was killed by the Nazis in the Holocaust.
she did not come to America,
No, none of them. Only my brother came to America, and not even one sister could come to America. It was already the Second World War started,
but you came in 1921.
1921.
What kind of education did your parents give you?
Oh, my education was, I went to the best school in Suwałki, where two old ladies of the intelligentsia opened a school like that. That was called a private school.
What do you mean by intelligentsia? What does intelligentsia mean?
Intelligentsia, well, those two women were rich, two women, old ones. You can imagine two old women opened a school of 4-year studies. I finished all the studies. I've even gotten the first prize when I finished, and it was in the Russian language. I'll tell you about the languages. The Russian language. My award was the Приключения Robinson Crusoe. You see,
And you read it in Russian?
Yeah. I learned Russian, I learned Polish, I learned German. My hometown was near German border. So I've learned even French. I cannot say that I could keep on a conversation in French, but in the other languages, yes, and also Hebrew. I was good in Hebrew.
Was this school only for Jewish children?
This school was called Pension by one teacher. Was the one of the two was the main one. Her name was Berta Mironovna. Varvara Isakovna was the second one. The third one was I now forgot a lot of different things.
What?
They were the only two big teachers, the two women.
Only two?
Yeah, and the only two teaching the school, and it was an expensive school. It was 40 rubles for 6 months to go to this school, and Suwalk didn't have those kind of people who could have give their children to school like that.
Well, how did your parents afford it?
My father and mother were not rich people, they were balabatische. They had their own home forever. But those two teachers, one was Raigrotskaya, one was Volkoviskaya, Varvara, and Berta Mironovna was in Hebrew teacher. I went all through this school, flying high. With what did I call him? My my award, what I got. I should have showed it to the thing. I have that. No. That was, the award was Recollection Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe. His life, his happenings in his life, the way he saved himself, all of it. But I got the award.
In Hebrew, did you study Torah, or were you studying modern Hebrew?
They had Hebrew also in the same school.
And what kind of Hebrew texts?
Well, we've learned, we started in the Hebrew language starting from the Chumash, then Tanakh. I've learned Tanakh until I finished Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, and one more.
Yechezkel?
Yeah. I still know a little bit Hebrew, because I couldn't write any Yiddish poetry without having a Hebrew education. You had to know it. I'd give you a book, and I'll give you another book. If you finished one, I'll give you a third one and a fourth one. The fourth one just came out about what? A year? Is it a year already?
And this is your memoirs.
And my books were all translated. The first one was translated in Petach Tikva in Israel. I went to publish my first book in Israel. That was how many years ago? You can tell.
20.
20 already. Don't tell him how old I am.
You tell him.
93.
No.
Yes, I am 93. Yes.
Well,
But I studied Hebrew a lot. There was a time between the First World War and the Second, a time in our Polish among our Polish Balabatische people to study Hebrew. So I went to some of those,
tutors?
what did they call it? Just a minute. We called it something. It was a good name. Everybody who could have a beginning in Israel could start out, right? Go further and further.
A Talmud Torah?
I didn't go very far. I finished with our what do you call that? Just a minute. In English, I have to think. Well, it was enough to know that I finished to Yeshayahu and Yirmiyahu. Those two. Yeah, I finished it. But later I went, it was the war. My people wanted me to get married. I didn't want to get married. I wanted to come to America. I wanted to find someone who I can look at my great-grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren like Roger?
Huh?
Roger is?
That's one of them. One of them. This? Well, I know that my father, that's my father's. Wait a minute, honey. That's before I came to America.
That's right. And
Yes.
this is your husband?
1904 or something. Yeah, 1904.
1908.
Yeah, he was in the Arbitering Workman Circle.
This was your husband?
No, it was my daddy.
Your father-in-law?
Your husband.
Oh, Harry, of course. I have it all wrong.
And what this says is that the certificate is called Class 2, number 19430, the Workman's Circle, Arbeiter Ring, Membership Certificate. This is to certify that friend Harry Andres is a member of branch number 234 of the Workman's Circle, and is entitled to all the benefits provided for by the Constitution and laws as a member, subject, however, to compliance with the Constitution and laws of said order, and branch of which he is at the time a member, as they now exist, or as they may hereafter, as amended, altered, or modified. This was definitely created by a lawyer. And it appears to be a form in which they've imprinted the name Workman's Circle. And it states on the bottom that in witness whereof the Workman's Circle has hereto affixed its seal and caused the certificate to be subscribed by its president and secretary this 4th day of November, 1908, and Joseph Weinberg was the president, and the secretary was someone whose name appears to be Weintraub. Is that right? It's the writing is indistinct. When did your husband Harry? How old was he when he received this?
Married. When?
Now this is dated 1908. It's long before you met him.
There is 1908, and it's arbitering membership certificate. It's a certificate. And
He was 22 years old when he joined the Arbeiterring.
I was what?
No, he was 22 years old when he joined Arbeiterring. Well, it doesn't matter. We can go on.
What?
But did you have anything to do, or did your parents have
When
anything?
I married Mr. Harry Andres, that was my first husband. He was already in America. Let me see. Probably 25 years. My husband was.
Where was he from?
He was from Russia, from Crimea. From Crimea.
And what was his education?
His education, well, it was one of the boys. He was going to Cheder. He was learning. His father was a rabbi. A rebbe, I mean. You know what a rebbe and a rabbi is?
Why don't you tell us?
The rebbe, a rebbe is a rebbe who teaches children, and a rabbi is one who has the rabbinate. the one who is a rabbi in a shul. And a rabbi is just the one. My father-in-law always was teaching the Jewish children here in Dallas. They all were educated with their, what do you call when a boy gets to be 13 years?
Bar mitzvah.
Yeah?
Bar mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah, yeah, bar mitzvah, yeah. So my father was the one rabbi who has for his pupils all the North Dallas children, and they all were bar mitzvah.
Okay, that's your husband, Harry? Harry was their teacher?
He was
His father.
His
father. Harry's father?
Yeah,
And what is Harry's father's name?
he was. Just a minute, I knew his name very well. I knew his name very well.
Is it Jake?
The first thing he was the
Was it Yaakov?
Huh?
Yaakov? Jacob?
Yaakov, yeah, Jacob Andresier. That was his name. Jacob Andresier. And he was usually a volunteer for the older people in Suwałki. He used to sit around them and
No, he didn't live in Suwałki. He lived in the Crimea, right?
he was in Crimea, in Russia.
Now, Harry, did Harry know as much Hebrew as you?
No, Hebrew, well, he was bar mitzvah, I guess. I forgot all about Harry already.
Was Harry frum?
Huh?
Was Harry frum?
No, he was not. He was a socialist.
Okay. Did he belong to the Bund? Was he a Bundist? Bund? Was he a member of the Bund?
Of the Bund, that was when the Bund was in existence. I remember I was still a little girl, about 12, 13, 14 years. No, I wasn't in the Bund.
And how about Harry?
My father wasn't in the Bund.
And Harry?
Huh?
Was Harry?
Harry might have been. I'm sure he was. He was a socialist all of his years.
And that's why he became involved in the Arbeiterring, because the Arbeiterring was a socialist organization. Was the Arbeiterring
What?
socialist?
He was what?
Was the
You're talking about Harry now?
Harry?
Harry. Well, he was always a member in Arbeiterring, and he was always a very good member, a member of great
Stature? Was he involved in the revolution? Did he support the Russian Revolution?
Russian language.
Revolution.
Revolution? No. You mean the revolution, the first revolutions,
Yes, yes.
or the latest? The latest he did not. The Soviet Union he didn't.
What did he support?
Huh?
Tell me what was he involved in revolution?
Who?
Harry.
Harry. He was. Of course, it was a revolution. It was a revolution. It was a product of this man and this woman. That's his mother and dad. His mother and dad. He lived in Feodosia. You know where Feodosia was?
No, is that in the Crimea?
Yeah, Crimea, yeah.
Was that a large city? Was that a big city?
Yes, so the Tsar, the Russian Tsar and the Tsarina used to go on vacation to Feodosia. That was,
Was it like Odessa?
yeah, that was a very fine place to live. It's right by the water. I forgot which, by which.
By the Caspian? Near Yalta?
Huh?
Near Yalta? Near Yalta?
Yalta.
Ah,
Yalta.
Yalta? Well, of course that was in Yalta. Well,
in Crimea.
Yalta, yeah, Yalta.
Okay. It did, was Harry involved in the revolution of 1905? The 1905?
In 1905, I was a little girl.
What about Harry?
But Harry must have been in the revolution, yeah.
Okay. When Harry came to America, did he join the Arbeiterring immediately? Did he?
She calls it
When he came-
Arbeiterring. Did he join the Arbeiterring
The
immediately?
Arbeiterring were revolutionists too.
I see. And how did they help?
Huh?
What did they do? How did they help the revolution?
Because they were very brilliant people. They were revolutionists. They wanted to turn the Russian Tsar over.
And they helped. It was successful. It happened.
Huh?
They got rid of him eventually.
They
And
were intelligent people.
why was it that Harry
Yeah.
became interested in starting the school? Tell me why you and Harry were interested in starting the school in Dallas.
Dallas school?
Yes.
What school? The English school?
No, the Yiddish school.
Oh, when we started the Yiddish school, I think when we started working on trying to see that we can maybe have a building for the Arbeiterring members, for their families, for their children, and then in the same building to have the Arbeiterring Kinderschule. I was of the very first ones.
And why were you and Harry so concerned to create a school? Why did you want a school?
Because I was a Yiddishist all my life, even in Europe. I was a Yiddishist. I loved the Yiddish language. And I wanted to see that my children will be lucky enough to be starting a Jewish school. In 1924, I think, is when we opened it.
1925 or 26?
Yes, 25 and 26, and it was existing about 14 years, I think.
Until about 1934?
1934. Yeah, that was when the
Depression.
bad times came.
Now tell me how the school was begun. How did you get the money? Who gave the money to start the school?
To go to school?
No, to begin the Kinderschule.
You mean at home?
No, who gave the money? Who contributed money to build the school?
To go.
To build it.
You're talking about Europe?
No, I'm talking about the Kinderschule in Dallas.
To the Kinderschule?
Yes.
Well, my husband was in business. He was a grocer and he was in a good business, and he was an intelligent man, and I had children. My son, the oldest one, Ruben, was born in 1924, wasn't it?
23.
Daverly,
23.
24, 1920. My husband was born. in
No, your son?
1924.
Your son.
Yeah.
Okay. And, but we're talking about how the Kinderschule began, the Kinderschule in Dallas.
Oh.
How we got the money and how we supported
All
it.
right, I can tell you as far as I could remember, because I was really in it, trying to get the money to make bazaars. We had a building already, so we could go.
How did you get a building?
Well, we built it, all of us.
How did you get the money?
The money from the Jewish people in Dallas. All these Ring members were helping, and we had a committee of women who were working very diligently, and they wanted their children to have a Yiddish school, so we were all working for it.
How much money did you raise?
Did we do
How much money were you able to make in order to build the school?
when they used to give for the school?
How much did it cost to build the school?
The school, the children didn't pay anything.
No. How much did the women collect and pay to buy the building?
To buy the building? Well, how is it being done to start a building? You find a place they found a place in South Dallas on Forest Avenue, and we knew that we start already big. We have something said in this book right here that we.
You're pointing
I
at it
would
deep in
like-
the heart.
No, I didn't write the book.
No, I understand. Go ahead.
I didn't write the book. It just says a lot of things about our book and about our people in Dallas, Texas, the Jewish people, the Ring, for instance.
And you borrowed a lot of money to build the school? You borrowed money to build the school?
Well, yes, we had a building committee. We had members who were working for it, and the women all were volunteers, intelligent women. We all wanted to have a Yiddish school for our children. That was our goal.
Was there any Hebrew taught in the school?
A Hebrew Sunday school.
No. What did you teach Hebrew also?
You mean if I knew Hebrew or?
No. Did teachers teach
Well,
Hebrew?
I'll tell you about the school. The school had the first 4 years, I think. The first 4 years, they were only teaching Yiddish. Little children, they were going to the American school, to learn the way a child starts school. And then when our children started a little bit older, not too old, my first son couldn't even be taken into the Ring Kinderschule yet because he was too young.
5, 6, 7?
Yeah, he must have been 5 or 6, but he went as far now in his life. May I tell you?
Yes.
Yes, he's the first gerontologist now in the world. The first one in the world, not only in America but in the world.
Well, you're very
He was-
lucky to have him for a son.
Yeah, he is the first son of ours. A brilliant man.
Tell me about the curriculum in the school. What kind of courses were taught?
What kind of what?
What kind of courses were taught?
What kind of courses?
Courses. What did people study in the school?
Well, it was small. You're talking about the very beginning. It was just beginner school. Instead of learning their after morning school until 12 or 1 or I don't know 2, they were learning other languages here in Dallas. The Jewish people, they wanted their children to know Jewish though, so the Arbeitering were the only people who started Yiddish in Dallas.
So how would they teach Yiddish? Would they teach it with newspapers, with books?
Well, yes, with papers, with grammars and yes, beginners, and just like any children start a school in your school.
And they didn't go all day. Is that right?
What is this?
These are just questions.
He's kind of helping.
The children didn't go to the shul all day. They only went for
The little ones? No, you mean this?
the big ones.
The American children.
Yes.
Yeah, they were supposed to be, no, not at all day, probably till about 3 o'clock. They were small children. They started from beginner and going on. And then the Arbeitering they were really people who livened up the whole city of Dallas.
Tell me why. How did they
Why?
do that?
I'll tell you. It says, I didn't tell them to say what they're saying here.
And deep in the heart.
That what is the saying here? I want you to see something in this book. This is of Texas.
This is a book called Deep in the Heart of Texas, The Lives and Legends of Texas Jews by Ruth Weingarten and Kathy Schechter.
Yeah,
And
well,
here on page
this is a
130,
big book.
on page 131, there is a few paragraphs entitled "Workman's Circle: Shuls Kept Culture Alive." And then it says, from the turn of the century until World War II, most Jewish immigrants to Texas spoke Yiddish at home, at shul, and with their friends and neighbors. Many subscribed to the national Yiddish newspaper like the Jewish Forward and The Day. Others could speak Yiddish, but could not read or write the language. Celia Cohen Lewin remembered writing letters in Yiddish for South Dallas neighbors to send home to Europe. Another source of Yiddish culture and companionship was the Arbeitering, Workman's Circle. It was a socialist-inclined, nationwide fraternal organization providing members with life insurance as well as financial and moral aid. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Members supported the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, Hayas, ORT, and the Jewish Labor Committee. By 1912, chapters formed in Waco, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and Galveston. They provided Yiddish theater, music, and other forms of entertainment. Houston had a Yiddish library and a Jewish literary society. In Dallas and San Antonio, there were Yiddish shuls or schools for children who gave musicals, plays, and readings in Yiddish. Ruchel Andres, that's you, was active in the Dallas chapter of Workman's Circle, branch 243, the largest in the region, with 100 members. The chapter opened a shul in 1926 with 43 pupils. Miss Andres recalled in her book, "Years Have Sped By." And now she quotes you. Can I quote you? Can I read what you wrote?
Sure.
Well, let me see about this book you're talking about.
Yes?
Yes. Well, we had a theater in the Yiddish language. We used to invite great poets from New York, in Yiddish for lectures, musicians. By the way, we had a music teacher for the Albert children also. And those children by themselves, in about 2 or 3 years, already knew enough of a little bit Yiddish that they by themselves
They could act or understand the plays?
they were already by themselves fixed. If I could tell you in Yiddish, it would be
Say
a
it in
whole
Yiddish.
lot,
Say it in
but you
Yiddish.
can understand. You can understand.
We can understand.
Okay. Well, where are we now?
The children were, even the young ones,
Yes.
were getting so good at Yiddish that they could understand some of these plays. And
Yeah, they were already by themselves arranging a play for a play, and they had gotten the high school in Dallas, Texas, to use their facilities.
Did people like
Children.
Maurice Schwartz come to Dallas?
Maurice Schwartz.
Yes, Maurice
Yeah.
from the Yiddish
I'm
Theater
sure
in New
they
York,
must have.
and
We had even a theater. I bet you remember. You must remember. Just a minute. What was the name of our? No, Davely.
Molly Pickin.
Mal.
No. Molly Pickin, no. That was just a Jewish actress, a very good actress, but she wasn't the one to do the things that we were doing. It's a different story with our people here in Dallas. Yeah,
But you did the Ansky, the Dybbuk.
yes.
But now you write in your book, and they quote you on page 131 of Deep in the Heart. We wrote to New York and were able to secure the best talent the Jewish stage had to offer for our annual concerts. Very often we would also have a Yiddish poet lecturer or a speaker. The women organized themselves into a mother's club which transported the children to the shul 5 days a week. They would then wait in the building for an hour till the class ended and take the children home again. There was an awakening of Yiddish culture in the city of Dallas. Our concerts attracted large segments of the Jewish population who previously knew nothing of the renaissance of Yiddish cultural activity in the United States.
Then you could read a little bit more in here. It's interesting to know of what they put different people in the Yiddish language. You
Okay.
don't want that. You only want about the Arbitering.
Yes.
Well, the Arbitering was they brought the Yiddish culture to Dallas, Texas.
But these children were only going 1 hour a day. Is that right?
1 hour a day, 5 days a week, and that took in Sunday morning, so from 9 to 12.
Oh, and what on the Sundays when they had 3 hours, what kind of things did they study? What did they study on Sunday mornings?
Sunday morning,
Yes.
what the children did on
Yes.
Sunday morning. I'll tell you, I was a busy girl. Really don't know what the children did on Sunday morning.
Did you teach?
I was writing my poetry. Yes. I was writing all the time. And I published 4 books, I guess you know.
Yes.
Yes. The 4th book just arrived about a year ago, and it is a good book. And we have here something wonderful about the Dallas Temple Emmanuel, the Rabbi Sheldon Zimmerman. Yes, we made several videos with Zimmerman. I was reading my poetry, and it was done.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go back to the photographs for a moment. On the first photograph, which is closest to you, shows all the people that helped organize the Arbeiter Ring School. Is that right?
What?
These are the men that helped begin the school?
This is not for the children. This has to do with the Arbeiter Ring. With the Arbeiter
This is
Ring
the board?
members.
Okay,
the members.
and this is the board of directors?
She knows all those people.
Would you like to tell me their names?
Yes, I know all the names. You want to
Okay.
hear them?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Yeah, okay.
you're going to take
Yeah.
it? Good. Well, Aronofsky,
What is his first name?
his first name, I knew.
Easter.
Huh?
Easter. Easter.
Isser Aronofsky, I know, and his wife, Vasilia Aronofsky. She was also interested in the Arbeiter Ring Kinderschule. This is Aronofsky, and this is Isaac, my
Brother-in-law.
brother-in-law, Isaac. And this is 5, Aronofsky's partner. And this is Mr. Goodman. Fruit company. And this is Mr. Oh, this was Joe Myers, a great businessman here. He was in grocery business. He was a great businessman and a very good Arbeiter Ring member. If it weren't for those youngsters or a little elder than youngsters, we wouldn't have been where we were later. We really did very well.
Tell me the rest. What are the other names?
All right. This is Shapiro. What Shapiro was doing, I don't remember.
He was on the road.
He'll tell you. My husband knows Shapiro. Now this is our what do they call those young boys who were eating the days? Essentag?
Unemployed?
Huh?
He was unemployed?
No.
Tag. That's a very good term.
This is Joe Rudnitsky, one of our intellectuals in the Arbeiter Ring.
Oh, and does Essentag mean to waste time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is Mr. Perlstein, and this is one Mr. Gordon that's not from my time.
Meaning that you
Mr.
didn't like him?
Huh?
No, not from town.
Oh, not from your town.
Yeah.
Not from Dallas?
That's from
Not
Dallas.
her time.
That's from Dallas, yeah. That's all from Dallas. This is my husband, Harry Andres. And this is Abe Landsberg. And this is, I told you, Mr. Perlstein. And this is Joe Rudnitsky.
Now tell me why you called Joe an intellectual.
Huh?
Why did you call him an intellectual?
Because he was a, I'll tell you the name in Hebrew, just 1 minute. He was eating days, Essen Tag. You know what Essen Tag means?
Well, it means what you said it means, but it sounds like it means somebody who wastes time.
That's why. Because he was a learned young man when he came to Dallas from America, and he was in a little business, just probably making enough for his wife and 2 daughters. They're still living. They're here. He's gone.
But what made him an intellectual? What kind of studies did he do? What?
In the Hebrew language.
Go ahead.
Yeshiva Bacher.
Ah.
That's what he was, a yeshiva bacher. I forget everyday names or things. In my time at 93, some think I'm doing pretty good, but I know better.
Well, were most of the people on the board involved in founding the Kinderschule?
Yes.
This
What's the difference?
Landsberg, another intellectual.
Meaning a yeshiva bacher.
What's the difference?
Now this is probably before I came here.
3 years.
This, I know a lot of them because they were still later in the Albert Ring. This is the Joe Rudnitsky that I tell you.
Yes, let's hold it this way so
Oh. Well, this way?
Yeah.
All right. Now let's start here. I don't know. This is Joe Rudnitsky. This is Issa Aronofsky. This is Mr. Goodman, one of the brothers. I never knew this one. Did you? I didn't know him. This is the Mayorski's brothers. Mayorski, one of the Mayorskis. Intelligent people. This is my husband, Harry Andres. And this is, I don't know, couldn't remember. And him I didn't know, but I knew this one, Mr. This is the Aronofsky's partner. What was his name?
Shay.
No, not Shay.
5.
This?
5.
Huh?
5.
Five and Aronofsky. They were all quite intelligent people, the whole bunch, our friends. They say in here something very good that I wish that you'd know what they say about Dallas and the way they brought the
Yiddish culture. Great
culture.
culture. Who are the others here?
This is Isaac. Isaac is my husband's brother.
Ah, your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
All right.
And this is one, he was red-headed, but I can't remember his name. And this is John Myers.
Myers, you said, was the grocer.
They were all intelligent people.